It is 51 degrees here at U.S. Cellular Field. And we hope that the rain stays away. Rain in the forecast from time to time tonight and for tomorrow, Game 2. Baseball fans, grab a cold, fresh Budweiser. It's game time. Jose Contreras is ready to go. And here's a lineup that Phil Garner put together, and it's brought to you by Citi. Leading it off is Biggio, the second baseman. Willie Taveras having a great rookie year is in center. Lance Berkman hits third and left. Morgan Ensberg cleans up. Mike Lamb at first. And here's an answer to one question coming into this game one of the World Series. The DH is Jeff Bagwell. Jason Lane is in right. Brad Ausmus does the catching. And Adam Everett is the shortstop batting in the number 9 spot. And here is the leader of this pack of 4. The terrific starting pitching for the White Sox during the regular season, a 15-game winner. And here in the postseason, 2-1, and he has been dominant every time out.
Hottest pitcher in baseball for the second half, pitching with a world of confidence. A fastball, and yep, here in Chicago, the forkball. Houston has to run. In fact, both offenses, I think you can see a lot of running, particularly in the early innings.
Take a look at the defense behind Contreras. And how the White Sox cover the field is brought to you by State Farm. Budsednik in left, Rowand in center, and Jermaine Dye is in right. With Creedy, Uribe, Iguchi, and Konerko on the infield, third to first. A.J. Controversy Pierzynski does the catching, and Jose Contreras is on the mound for the White Sox. Craig Biggio has been waiting for this at-bat for 18 years. And people who have been around the game for a long time were thinking of guys like Biggio and Bagwell when the Astros clinched a few nights ago in St. Louis. Biggio has done this during the regular season. This postseason, 14 hits, 4 RBIs. And off we go. Strike one. It's Biggio, then Taveras and Berkman here in the first inning for the Houston Astros. The wild card winner from the National League. That's down, and the count evens at a ball and a strike. They clinched on the final day by beating Chicago, of all teams. They beat the Cubs, and they were in. They took care of Atlanta. They took care of St. Louis. And Phil Garner has his team rolling right into the World Series. There's a ball, and it's 2-1.
So one thing Contreras will do to right-handed batters, drop down against them, something you will never see Roger Clemens do.
On 2-1, that misses down and away, 3 balls and a strike. His 11 wins after the All-Star break, tied for the most in the big leagues. Andy Pettitte, Game 2 starter for Houston. The other one to accomplish that. Here's a 3-1 to Biggio, starting it for Houston. Full count.
Well, just getting the inside corner. Good call by Joe West. I think Ozzie telling Contreras, make him hit to get on.
I think Ozzie's juiced up.
I do too.
Here's 3 balls, 2 strikes.
What else is new?
Biggio chops it. Tough play. Creedy. He's had a good postseason, and he continues it.
That ball almost squirted loose. Sometimes you're so excited out there, you close the glove too early. And that ball kind of snow cone toward the end of the web. Creedy coming a long way to get that. Strong throw to get Biggio.
So now with 1 out, here is Taveras. Biggio ran the count full. The chopper for the out. Taveras, who was number 1 among National League rookies in games played, hits, stolen bases, runs, is in the number 2 spot. That change happened late during the regular season, and Phil Garner decided to go with the 1-2 punch of Biggio and Taveras at the top 2 spots for this Game 1. It could change tomorrow night. That's foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. You okay with all the room down there, Tim?
Oh, yeah, it's wonderful.
But you say that as we're thinking of our partner for a short time, Lou Piniella, who is down along with so many in the state of Florida, bracing for Hurricane Wilma. There is a punt attempt foul, and now Taveras is in the hole 1-2. See the good running action and movement on the fastball from Contreras, who's pitching on regular rest here tonight. On 1-2, Taveras reaching for it, a pop-up. Uribe, 2 out. Just to finish on Luke Piniella, who was with us during the ALCS. He was scheduled to be with us during the World Series, but he has, for good reason, decided to stay home in Florida as Lance Berkman digs his way in. You look at his regular season numbers, his postseason numbers, and Tim, you live in the Sarasota area, so I know some of your thoughts are on what is going on down in the Gulf yet again.
Thoughts are on Cancun and Mexico and Cuba, from where Jose Contreras reigns. El Duque, Orlando Hernandez, also from Cuba, defected several years ago.
Good fastball for a strike to Berkman.
And obviously the state of Florida.
He defected from Cuba October 25th, 2002. Signed a deal with the Yankees, traded to the White Sox midway through 2004. Really hit his stride in the second half of this season as the count evens at a ball and a strike. As we told you, and as Tim has said, he's been one of, if not the hottest pitcher in the major leagues down the stretch. 1 ball, 1 strike. A fork ball, strike 2.
Contreras throws the fork ball. He chokes it more than Roger Clemens, who throws the splitter. We'll show you the difference in the two in the bottom of the inning. But a good one to run the count to 2 strikes to Berkman.
Two and 2. To look at the last 11 starts, including the postseason, Contreras 10-1 with a microscopic 2.32 ERA. Look at the strikeouts to walks. Is 2-2. Take a look at the Rocket, Roger Clemens, and the lineup for the Chicago White Sox. Brought to you by Citi. Sednick will lead off in left. Gucci bats second. Jermaine Dye in right. Canerco, Everett, and Rowand in the middle. A.J. Pierzynski, Joe Crede, and Juan Uribe is the shortstop batting ninth. Clemens' first pitch of the night is in for a strike. 92-mile-per-hour fastball. And it's 0-1. Clemens will wait, and now Joe West is going to go over to Ozzie Guillen and talk about something in the hitter's background. And now they've turned off an electronic scoreboard out above the, I guess we can call it IV, even though we're here on the south side, out in center field. So that board was flashing around on that first pitch, and Ausmus, the catcher, stood up and said, turn it off. You'd think a hitter would complain about it. 0-1 pitch, ball and a strike. Sednick 8 for 28 in the postseason after hitting .290 during the regular year. No home runs, but he has one during the postseason. That came against the Red Sox. Late swing, and that's strike 2. On deck, Gucci.
Roger Clemens missed his last start of the regular season. A strained left hamstring. But that would be one of the reasons why the White Sox would make Clemens move around a bit.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Roger is the second oldest pitcher ever to start a World Series game. Jack Quinn was 46 in 1929 with Philadelphia.
2 weeks after his start, the stock market crashed.
Ground ball to the left of Everett. 1 out.
Take a look at the scouting report for Roger Clemens. Rare combination of power and control. Everybody talks about his power. Few talk about his remarkable control. Mr. Splitty is his split finger fastball. That's different from the fork ball that Contreras throws. And remarkably, he is as good now as he has ever been.
Ozzie Guillen was laughing before the game. Realize that Clemens broke into the big leagues with Boston in 1984. Guillen debuted in the big leagues in 1985. And he said, my coaching staff has better numbers against Roger Clemens and at least more at bats than my lineup does. With guys like Harold Baines and Tim Raines and Joey Cora, Greg Walker. 1 out, nobody on, 1 ball, no strikes. On the outside corner, 1-1. So while Iguchi tries to figure out Roger Clemens and get on base in front of Jermaine Dye, Clemens might have to remind him he's not pitching against guys like Cora and Raines and some of the others. He's got some new names to deal with, and he falls behind Iguchi 2-1. The coaches and the general manager, Kenny Williams, 260 and 262 at bats, and the playoff roster has a total of 117 chances against Clemens. Here's a 2-1 to the left side for Ensberg. 2 down. 2 ground ball outs, and we see how the Astros cover the field. It's brought to you by State Farm. In the outfield, it's Berkman tonight in left, Tavares in center, and Jason Lane in right. Ensberg has 2 errors this postseason, as does Everett. They're on the left side. Biggio and Lamb on the right side, and Ausmus, who is one of the real unsung good players in the major leagues, does the catching for Clemens. And here's Jermaine Dye.
So steady that the Astros actually traded for him twice. Came from the Detroit Tigers, did Ausmus. Talk about a steady guy to have behind the plate. And I think each pitching staff is really influenced by the great catching of both Pierzynski and Ausmus.
0-1 pitch. Guy up and after it, and he fouls it out of play to the right, strike 2.
We talked about Mr. Splitty for Roger Clemens. Really cutting hairs here, but you can see the space right there. That's a split finger fastball. It's thrown a little harder, more from the fingertips. Right here, this pitch is choked more, and that is the Contreras forkball. But they are different.
Still 0-2.
What Contreras ended the first inning with that forkball. You can see the grip, how he chokes his. Whereas Roger, there's a little space between the ball and the ends of the index and middle fingers.
0-2 is the count on Dye with 2 out, nobody on. That's wide. You said cutting hairs. You're talking about the split fingered pitch. It's
splitting hairs, yes. Might have been thinking about a haircut. It's been a while.
It has. It's postseason for you, baby. Sleep and get your hair cut in November. 1-2 pitch with 2 out. 2-2. Clemens in his career during World Series play is 3-0 with a terrific ERA of 1.90. Opponent's average, the strikeouts per 9 innings pitched. He went to the Yankees to get a ring. Got his rings. 2-2 pitch. And Dye has had a good at bat.
You would think throughout his remarkable career that he would have started a game 1. But this, incredibly, is his first start of a game 1 in a World Series.
Won his gold ring in '99 with the Yankees. Did it again in 2000. That's down and in. And if you want to talk about the Yankees for a quick second, I know it's another World Series and we have to talk about the Yankees. But their demise really was multiplied when they let Andy Pettitte walk away. Clemens retired, then came out of retirement, and both Pettitte and Clemens are starring in the rotation for the Houston Astros, and the Yankees have never been able to fill those roles with any kind of consistency in their rotation.
As Kevin Kennedy brought up in the pregame show, they traded Jose Contreras for Esteban Loaiza in July of last year. Orlando Hernandez, a former Yankee and a great postseason performer, also with the White Sox.
Dye hits it into deep right at the wall. The White Sox strike first. What a tremendous at-bat by Jermaine Dye, who was 0-2, had a 9-pitch at-bat, and put Chicago out in front.
Jermaine got a predictable pitch, a fastball away, did not try to pull it, and hit it a ton to right field. White Sox up.
Two and on Konerko.
In the postseason, the White Sox have outscored their opponents in the first inning 13-2. And when they have scored first, they are 6-0 in postseason play.
Three and 0 on Konerko. And the Angels are at home watching because a lot of that early power, and it was Konerko doing it back-to-back games out in Anaheim. Doing it in games 3 and 4. Now he's sitting on a 3-0 pitch. 3-1.
Out over the plate, Jermaine Dye, 6'5½", extending those long arms to put the Sox on the board.
It's the most subdued Ozzie Guillen's been the entire inning. Joe West with a delayed strike 2 call. It's a full count.
Just on the corner. Ball tailing back on the outside part. The problem with falling behind Konerko is you can't pitch him like you normally would. You have to pitch him inside, and when you're behind in the count, you can't do that. He's looking for that pitch.
You've got both managers coming into this game saying we're not going to do anything differently. We're going to keep playing our game. And Phil Garner saying, when I put Roger Clemens out on the mound, I just sit back and enjoy watching it with the rest of you. He enjoyed the first 2 groundouts. But after getting up on the count 0-2, Jermaine Dye battled and homered. Now Konerko grounds to Everett. It's been since 1959 since the White Sox have been in the World Series, hosting Game 1. They take a 1-0 lead after 1. Ensberg, after the first pitch, pops it up into right. An easy play for Dye, who's homered 1 out. Ensberg, who hit 36 home runs during the regular season, flips one into right, and it's obvious that the ball is jumping out to right. That ball was hit flat-footed as Lamb digs in. And
Off the end of the bat.
I mean, it carried Tim not to the track, but just in front of it.
Yep.
We saw how far Dye's shot went the other way. It is flying. The wind's blowing out that direction. With one out, here is Mike Lamb, and he takes the ball. Lamb has hit 2 home runs during this postseason, and he shoots one into center field. Back is Rowan at the wall. This ball is gone. Lamb has homered to tie it at 1. Come on the air, and you hear all the pregame press conferences talking about small ball. And here in inning plus, we've seen 2 home runs, one by Dye and this by Lamb to tie it.
Well, to simplify it, both hitters, Jermaine Dye and Mike Lamb, hit pitches that they knew were coming, fastballs. A 1-0 count to Lamb, looking for a fastball. He got it, hit it hard to center field. Jermaine Dye, the 3-2 fastball from Clemens, got it, hit it hard to the opposite field.
So Lamb goes deep, playing first base tonight. Some thought that when Phil Garner put his lineup together, he would have Lamb in the DH spot. He's playing first tonight. He gets his first at bat, and he took that ball down at the knees or just below the knees into straightaway center. And this game is tied at 1. Now it's Bagwell, who is the DH tonight, and he takes a strike. He's in the hole 0-2. There are the numbers for Bagwell, who underwent right shoulder surgery in May. It's the second surgery he's had on the shoulder, and nobody thought he would get back and active here in 2005. They thought maybe 2006, maybe never again. And Bagwell is clipped by the pitch, and he's on with 1 out.
Sometimes when you throw that splitter, you have a tendency to tilt the fingers toward the third base side, and the ball kind of squirts out toward the inside of a right-handed hitter. I think that's what happened then when Contreras threw that splitter, and it kind of squirted out and hit Bagwell on the left shoulder.
So Bagwell, who has played in 2,150 games, gets hit in his first World Series plate appearance, like his partner Biggio does time and time again, year after year, getting hit by a pitch. Here's Lane. He takes the ball low.
Greg Biggio hit 273 times in his career, the most by any major leaguer.
Lane went deep in the clincher, game 6 in St. Louis, and he bats with 1 on, 1 out. And he rips one down the left field line. It is foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Thought you brought up a good point to Phil Garner before the game about Bagwell, and that is he's not the fastest guy, but here he is on at first with 1 out, and he is known across baseball as a very good base runner.
Outstanding savvy on the bases. Takes the extra base when he should. An aggressive base runner. You don't have to be fast to be good.
Double play ball to short. Uribe, Aguchi, off we go into the bottom of the second. A home run by Mike Lamb has evened this game. Out of the hand of Contreras off the bat of Lamb, 1-1 in Chicago. Our Lunesta trivia question: who was the last 300-game winner to start Game 1 of the World Series? As Clemens is on the mound tonight for Houston. Bottom of the second, Everett, Rowan, and Pierzynski for the White Sox in a 1-1 game. Home run by Dye, home run by Lamb. 92 miles per hour, and by the bat of Everett, strike 1. Carl is only 3 out of 20 in his career against Clemens. This postseason hitting .258, .251 during the regular season, the 0-1. Everett is the DH. Figures to sit when this series shifts to Houston. Off the end of the bat, base hit to center. Leadoff man is on for the White Sox, and we debut a new toy at Fox, our Fox Tracks, to look at the home run.
It's kind of neat. The first pitch was high, and the second pitch tailing away from Lamb, and you can see he connected with that ball as the ball was going away, a two-seam fastball.
And Brandon Backey loved it.
Come on, come on, get up, ball, yeah, atta boy, yeah, woo!
Sheer ecstasy on the part of Brandon Backey when Lamb connected, and now with one on and nobody out, a check on Everett, who stole 4 bases during the regular season. Here's Aaron Rowan. That was odd. Ausmus popped up like they were going to pitch out. Everett bluffed as if he was going to steal second. And then Ausmus got back down and caught ball 1 down and away. So 1 ball, no strikes. Rowan 7 hits in this postseason. You can run on Contreras and you can run on Clemens.
Good time to do it, because when the hitter's ahead in the count, the likelihood of a pitch out is remote. Angels had a lot of success with Rowan, pitching him inside, trying to prevent the extending of the arms.
1 ball, 1 strike. If you talk to Ozzie Guillen, at least tonight prior to the game, he said we're going to run and we're going to bunt when we can to try to test Roger Clemens and his ability to get off the mound and make a play. 41-year-old Ozzie Guillen, proud Venezuelan, managing a team with players from all over the world. And it was Rowan who said we all speak different languages, but the common denominator is we all speak baseball. Second foreign-born manager in the World Series, the White Sox shortstop, 1985 to 97. Came up with the Padres, at least through their system, and was the Rookie of the Year back in 1985.
Now would be a good time to send the runner. 2 balls and 1 strike. Rowan's seen 3 pitches.
He's going. Rowan chops it to the right side and through. Everett will go to third. First and third, nobody out.
Hard for managers to tell broadcasters exactly what they're going to do. But you just got the feeling that Everett was going to be in motion after what Ozzie told us before the game. Second baseman covering, the ball through on the right side. Beautifully done by Rowan. He didn't hit it hard, but placed it accurately.
And now Pierzynski. A.J. Pierzynski, who should make every umpire run away every time he shows up. This guy was involved in all the controversial plays, it seemed like, in the ALCS against the Angels. The swing and miss and taking first on what should have been not only strike 3, but out number 3 in game 2. The catcher's interference, it wasn't called when he was behind the plate on a swing by Finley. And now he gets time at home before the pitch from Clemens.
Clemens threw that ball home disdainfully, probably thinking that that's too late. Those are the types of things that Pierzynski does to the opponents that upset them.
It's a nasty pitch.
Yeah, it is.
Look at the drop on this thing.
That was the splitter.
Ball 1. Cold enough where the umpiring crew will let the pitcher blow into his pitching hand to try to warm it up. Pierzynski is jammed, the ball and a strike.
Along with all the other animation of Ozzie Guillen, his hand gesticulations from the dugout are fascinating. I think it's fascinating to try to figure out. I think he was telling Aaron Rowing that if Pierzynski hooks the ball by the first baseman, make sure you go to third base. Outfield is back. You'll see that the whole game. Fascinating.
But he even takes it to another level. We saw him in the ALCS, motion out to a runner at first. Just go, run. Waving his arm forward as if to say, hey, we don't need to go through the signs here. If you get a chance to run on this guy, he's got a high leg kick. It was Escobar.
Right. Just
take the bag. It's not too complicated. Just do it. The 1-1. A.J. Pierzynski, who came up through the Twins organization, was with the Giants last year. They declined an option on his contract, and he seems to fit right in here with the White Sox. Two balls and a strike. The play by Lamb, throws to second for the out. Here comes Everett to the plate, 2-1 White Sox.
Excellent base running by Carl Everett. It was a good play by Lamb initially. He looked the runner back at third, but Everett was so far off the base that he was able to score after the throw went to second base. Watch Everett. I think if Lamb had come up throwing to third, they'd get Everett in a rundown. See, Everett's far enough off the third, but it is a risky play. So Lamb looked him back, Everett held, the throw went to second, and Everett scored the second run of the game.
So the DH, Carl Everett, may have been trapped in no man's land and then just took off for the plate on the throw to second, the force out 3-6, the RBI for Pierzynski. Now he's on at first with one out for Joe Crady.
There's a lot of pressure on that runner at third with nobody out, as we've said a lot, particularly first and third. We saw it with Albert Pujols the other night of the Cardinals. First and third in that game won by the Astros on the terrific double play. Pujols trying to score the play before and was thrown out at home. But watch the dilemma of Carl Everett. He takes about 2 steps toward home and stops. Had Lamb gone right to third, maybe he gets Everett. But Everett alertly, when the throw went to second, scores easily without a play. That is alert base running by Carl Everett.
Crady with a count 0-1. 0-2. I'm not afraid to say who we voted for, Tim. I'm not. We voted for Joe Crady to be the MVP of the ALCS.
We did indeed.
He didn't win. Nope. Paul Konerko won, but Crady hit .368 and not only had as many RBIs as Konerko, but had him in key tight spots, including the game-winning hit in a great at-bat in Game 2 with that controversial third strike with Pierzynski. Took 2 strikes, let Pablo Ozuna steal second, and then on 0-2 against Escobar, wrapped one off the wall in left to win it. And now a shattered bat. Somehow Ensberg keeps his focus on the play and gets the out at first. And I mean to tell you, the business end of the bat went right down toward Ensberg.
You will never break a bat any more deliberately than Roger Clemens did. It looked like a splitter in on the hands that just shattered the bat. Splinters flying everywhere.
Well, if that bat was Wonder Boy from the ALCS, like the natural, he's going to have to go to something else, because his lucky bat was just shattered. Here's your Uribe, the number 9 hitter. Runner at second, 2 out. Pierzynski is out there, doesn't run all that well. And that's foul, strike 1. Uribe drove in 71 runs during the regular season. That was 5th best among Major League shortstops.
Obtained by the White Sox last year from the Rockies. Had 23 home runs for the White Sox last year.
What's that?
He has power. Power the other way also.
Runner at second. 2 down, and Uribe into left center field. That ball is down. Pierzynski scores easily. It's 3-1.
Looked like a two-seam fastball from Clemens. No, looked like a splitter. Yep, split finger fastball went down, and Uribe did a good job of getting it before it went down.
Now a visit from Jim Hickey, the pitching coach. I think if you size up this World Series, the guy that I think everybody has their attention on, and rightly so, is Oswalt, with what he did in the NLCS.
Overwhelming.
I mean, just unhittable. You talk to Cardinal hitters. There's Bernie Mac from the Bernie Mac Show. You talk to Cardinal hitters, they'll tell you in Game 6 he was absolutely unhittable. So here are the White Sox trying to get at least one win before Oswalt pops up in Game 3 in Houston. And not only Game 3 in Houston, but a Game 7, if there is one, here in Chicago. The White Sox leading 3-1, bottom of the second. Back to the top of the lineup. Here's Podsednik. Scott grounded out to short his first time up. Three hits in the inning. And 2 runs for Chicago. Strike 1. Seven-time Cy Young Award winner Roger Clemens, 43 years old, brings home an 0-1. Good pitch. Out in front of it was Podsednik, and now he's in the hole 0-2.
There are 2 players, one in each lineup, where you have to make them hit the ball over your head. In the off field, Willie Taveras is one for Houston. Scott Podsednik is another one. And right now, Lance Berkman's too deep in left field. Taveras is proper in center, but Berkman too deep.
Ball 1.
So one thing you try to prevent as the opposite outfielder, when a pitcher makes the pitch, shatters a bat, jams a guy, you want to be able to make a play.
Clemens trying to fight his way through this second inning. 2-2. Already there's action for the Astros out in their bullpen as Wandy Rodriguez, a young left-hander, cranks it up. That'll get out of play. In his first World Series for the Boston Red Sox, his shortest outing in World Series performances, 4 1/3 innings. He's pitching here with 2 outs in the second on the short end of a 3-1 score. 2-2 delivery. Podsednik is just up there battling. Traded by the Milwaukee Brewers here to Chicago. Podsednik, along with Luis Vizcaíno, a good right-handed arm out in their bullpen. For Carlos Lee, who had a great year power-wise, run production-wise in Milwaukee. But it gave the White Sox their leadoff hitter, and now Podsednik is running full.
Okay, you had a shot of Contreras warming up. A lot is made of how long a pitcher stays in the dugout. If I were a starting pitcher, I'd say, guys, take all the time you want.
On 3-2, Podsednik just got a piece. White Sox may already have Roger Clemens on the ropes. And another foul off the bat of Podsednik. Up over 50 pitches is Clemens. The Astros in the top of the third will have Ausmus, Everett, and Biggio. Another 3-2. Another foul ball. A lot of people wondered how the White Sox would pick up after a 5-day layoff. They did not play well in Game 1 of the ALCS after sweeping the Red Sox. They were lethargic. They didn't play their game. They didn't get bunts down. They didn't run the bases well, make good decisions. Pretty good start here tonight. What an at bat.
You can't get on, wear him down.
The 12th pitch of the at bat is coming here. And finally, Clemens wins that battle. But in the inning, the White Sox regain the lead. Everett on with a hit. Hit and run went to third. Scored on the ground ball by Pierzynski, who scored on the hit by Uribe. 3-1 after 2 here in Chicago. Eight, 9, and 1 hitters for the Astros. Ausmus, Everett, Biggio against Jose Contreras, who deals a fastball for a strike. Ausmus overall hit .258 during the regular season, but has hit .287 since the 1st of July. And his value to this Houston team and what he does behind the plate is almost immeasurable. And he starts the inning off with a base hit into right. Good piece of hitting by Ausmus, just flipped it into right, and the leadoff man is on for Houston.
Fastball away. Joe, you said .287 since July 1st. It's rare for a catcher to improve his offense as the season goes along because they get tired. They get more tired than any other position player. But Ausmus turning it around, hit .214 first half of the season and really propelled into that close to 300 mark in the second half.
1 on, nobody out. Number 9 hitter is Adam Everett. Strike 1. Everett has been a steady shortstop for the Astros since taking over. Hit .248, but hit 11 home runs, stole 21 bases. And in this AL style lineup is hitting in the number 9 spot. The 0-1. Down the left field line, it is foul. 0-2. We gave you our Lunesta trivia question. Who was the last 300 game winner to start Game 1 of the World Series? The answer, go back to 1925. And Walter Johnson of the Washington Senators against the Pirates. And Johnson was the winning pitcher in that game.
The big train, built like the big train Roger Clemens.
1 on, nobody out. 0-2 pitch to Everett. Sounded like he broke his bat. And he did. And the count stays 0-2, and this ought to tell you something. Rodriguez continues to warm up even while the Astros are hitting. Roger Clemens has battled a hamstring injury this season. He has battled a bad back after getting out of that long second inning.
You can almost see him limping down the stairs.
Could be an injury situation with Clemens, but that's total speculation at this point. Here is Everett sticking the bat out. Contreras to second, out, over to first, safe.
Contreras taking a long time to get that ball to shortstop Juan Uribe. Uribe with a quick pivot, strong throw to first, but they only get one. Looked like a slider, low and away. He could not find the handle to the ball. I've always thought that an odd expression. Couldn't find a handle to it. But Uribe almost waiting at shortstop for the throw to arrive. And a double play that should have been turned. The White Sox only get one.
So now back to the top of the order. Here's Biggio, who grounded out his first time. And here we go. We talk about the running game with the White Sox. You have to consider it here with a guy like Everett on at first. 30 out of 32 was the opposition trying to steal against Jose Contreras. Takes a long time to get the ball to the plate. Good pitch down and away. Strike one on Biggio.
Plus he throws pitches like that that are down in the strike zone. And when a pitcher's effective down in the strike zone, it's very difficult for a catcher to have a good pitch to handle to throw a runner out. So that combination, slow home, down in the strike zone, a good situation on which to run.
Everett stays put. Biggio 0-2.
Contreras always starts holding the ball at his side with the split finger grip. Then he'll change it in the glove.
Picked up by Pierzynski, 1-2.
He showed it in the League Championship Series. He even warms up with a softball, which is bigger than a baseball. And he uses that to stretch the index and middle finger. That is the forkball grip, but he changes it in the mitt.
What a jump by Everett. He was halfway to second base by the time Contreras let it go.
Pierzynski would have had no chance if Biggio doesn't make contact.
Biggio is in a spot with 2 strikes where he has to swing if it's in the strike zone. So that's really one way, if you're a guy like Contreras, to try to at least slow down the running game, throw strikes, get ahead of hitters. And he's 1-2 on Biggio. And a floater into center field. That ball's going to get down. 2 hits in the inning, and it's 2 on with 1 out for Houston here in the third. 8 o'clock here in the Central Time Zone, and our game summary is brought to you by Bank of America. Mike Lamb homered for Houston in the second after Jermaine Dye went deep in the first. Juan Uribe has an RBI double. It came with 2 out. And Roger Clemens has thrown over 50 pitches in 2 innings. With 2 out and a long at bat, a 9-pitch at bat. In the first inning, Jermaine Dye took Clemens out to right. And Lamb tied it. The White Sox back out in front with 2 in the second, and now it's 2 on with 1 out for Willy Taveras. Reaching for it, strike 1. 1959, not just the year that represents the last time the White Sox were in the World Series, but it's also the year that represents Fidel Castro taking over Cuba. Talked about Jose Contreras defecting back in 2002. 2 on and 1 out. Taveras drops down a bunt. Contreras off the mound. Good play. 2 out. The runners advance to second and third, but 2 out in the inning. And while people in Cuba are wondering about what the eventual outcome will be for Hurricane Wilma, you know that they are huddled around televisions and radios, despite the government telling them not to listen and watch what their beloved Jose Contreras is doing starting game 1 of the World Series against Houston. For more on that, let's go down to Chris Myers.
Thanks, Joe. Humberto, the older brother of Jose Contreras, as millions watch, is so desperate in Cuba, where his name is not allowed to be mentioned, according to Fidel Castro, is riding by horseback this evening to a shack where a friend has a transmission hookup so he can listen to his brother's game. Jose Contreras, one of 9 in his family, and when he did defect from Cuba, it took nearly 2 years before he could see his wife and 2 daughters, and that's the time he was traded to the Chicago White Sox. Baseball knows no boundaries. Of course, the White Sox aren't necessarily America's team, but tonight, Cuba's team, even if the fans there can't openly admit it, at least for Jose Contreras.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. And now here are the Astros in a spot to come up with a hit from Berkman. Try and tie this game. Second and third, 2 out. Berkman rips it down the right field line. It's a fair ball. The game is tied, and Berkman will cruise into second base with a 2-out, 2-run double. It's 3-3 here in the third.
Ozzie Guillen out to talk to Contreras before that splitter. You're in a situation right there where one hit is going to tie the ball game. You don't pitch around him, even though he is an outstanding hitter. A hanging split finger fastball or forkball. Reason for that is you've got Ensberg, the cleanup hitter, on deck, and it's too early in the game to be walking hitters intentionally. White Sox just got burned.
Now a chance for Houston to take their first lead of the night. They've got Ensberg at the plate, a guy who drove in 101 runs during the regular season with 2 out, a 3-3 score in the third. Check swing, foul, 1-1. If you go back through this inning, Tim, you get a leadoff hit from Ausmus. Contreras and the White Sox can't turn a double play on the ball hit by Everett. Biggio gets a hit, and then the bunt by Taveras. And you're thinking, that's an odd play with 1 out. It put 2 out in the inning, but it advanced the runners to second and third. Left it on the shoulders of Lance Berkman, and he stepped up and did it again for Houston. Now Ensberg takes a ball, 2-1.
It's odd to give Willie Taveras a sacrifice on that because clearly he was bunting for a base hit. But the secondary effect of moving the runners along set him up for Berkman.
2 balls and a strike. Morgan Ensberg flied to right. His first time up. Pierzynski tried to pull it back in. It's high and tight, 3-1. Contreras defeated Boston game 1 of the division series, 7 2/3, 2 runs, and a 14-2 win. Lost to the Angels in game 1 of the ALCS, but went 8 1/3 and then won the clincher. Game 5, 6-3. Here's a ground ball to short. Picked up by Uribe, and off we go into the bottom of the third. The White Sox coming up. The Astros just came back. It's a 3-3 score in game 1. flashback to 1959. Game 1 at Comiskey Park against the Dodgers. Al Lopez managed the White Sox. Walter Alston for the Dodgers. Ted Kluszewski had 2 home runs in Chicago's 11-0 win. Early Wynn was the winning pitcher. Other 1959 images. Jiffy Pop popcorn was burned in homes across America. The Barbie doll was debuted, which continues to cost me money to this day. Vince Lombardi became the Packers head coach. Shown there with George Halas, and the debut of Chevrolet's El Camino, which, Tim, you have as your specialty car to this day.
That's 1 year after the Edsel, wasn't it?
1959, and here the 43-year-old Roger Clemens is finished. We'll get word on exactly why. You would have to believe it's injury related, and Wandy Rodriguez takes over, a 26-year-old left-hander who this season for the Astros was a 10-game winner in 22 starts. Two, 3, and 4 hitters for the White Sox. Iguchi is jammed. Tough play. Biggio. Good pickup by Lamb. 1 out. Tough on both ends, and Biggio is nodding in the direction of Lamb on that 4-3 putout. That was not easy.
Yeah, Biggio was back on his heels, understandably, and charged it late. But on the short hop, Lamb makes a nice play. Very nicely done by Biggio and Lamb.
So 1 away, and the batter is Jermaine Dye, who homered back in the first. First home run of this postseason, takes high ball 1. Dye broke his leg in the 2001 playoffs, and you wondered if he would ever make it back. Now, during the regular season, he hit 31 home runs, which is the most he had hit since the year 2000. He's up on the count here, 2-0. The word on Roger Clemens is he had to exit because of soreness in that same left hamstring that's bothered him. His status is day-to-day, and you asked a question of Phil Garner before the game. You wonder, and you have to believe there's some relationship between a bad lower back and a hamstring injury.
Yeah, it's all connected, and Phil agreed with that. And Roger going down those steps, you could clearly see him limping on that left hamstring, and it is probably being iced as we speak.
3 balls and a strike on Dye. Wandy Rodriguez, as I mentioned, 26 from the Dominican. 2 different stops in the minor leagues this year before ending up in Houston, and here is a pitch down and away for a 1-out walk.
Just to remind everyone who is listening, you cannot make, if Roger Clemens goes down with a bad hamstring, you cannot replace him with another pitcher during the World Series. Bill Garner asking if Rodriguez can blow on his hands. He just came into the game and may not know that. But that is certainly something to keep in mind. If Roger Clemens is injured badly enough, then the Astros cannot replace him with anyone.
It's worth pointing out, and going back to that Monday, October 10th game, Game 5 out in Anaheim. As you look at Roger Clemens, his first 23 starts, and then what he's done over his last 12. He's out. Wandy Rodriguez is in. Think back to Bartolo Colon leaving in the 2nd inning, and the Angels having to hand the ball to young Irvin Santana, a 22-year-old right-hander, who because of his pitching got the Angels past the Yankees and into the ALCS. Now in this game, all the hype with a matchup of Contreras and Roger Clemens, the Rocket, 7-time Cy Young Award winner. He's gone after 2, and now the focus is on Wandy Rodriguez. 1 on, 1 out. Konerko tried to check his swing. He does. Ball and a strike.
Breaking ball, and he did hold up. Rodriguez is an atypical National League pitcher in that in the National League you have harder throwers, I think, for the most part. Rodriguez is not a hard thrower, but that's his best pitch, and he's shown it in this inning. Fine play by Ausmus to block that
Yeah,
curveball.
and there's Ausmus showing what he does best.
Right. Nicely done.
So the count 2-1 on Konerko. The Astros just tied it in the top of this third. Seen Clemens exit, and they've handed the ball to a rookie. Konerko. Good pitch from Rodriguez, 2-2.
Backdoor breaking ball.
Went from a right-hander, 6'4", 235 to a lefty, 5'11", 160. And Konerko flips it into right. Dye will hold at second. It's 2 on with 1 out. 5th hit of the night for the White Sox.
During the League Championship Series, Lou Piniella and I talked about how Konerko changes his style with 2 strikes. He tries to go the other way. He did that twice against the Angels. So with 2 strikes, Paul Konerko, another fine piece of hitting. That hit was for the newly born Nicholas Konerko.
His wife Jennifer giving birth, their first child, on Wednesday. And now, Dad, Paul Konerko, is 1 for 2 in Game 1 of the World Series. About to strike it rich as a free agent during the offseason. Here is Everett, 2 on, 1 out, strike 1. Runners on at first and second, tie game, 3rd inning, 0-1 pitch. Strike 2. In fact, 3 members of the White Sox have had kids in the last month. Not only Konerko, but Joe Creedy and Freddie Garcia. Nicholas, the only boy born. The other 2 little girls. 2 on, 1 out, 0-2 pitch. Good idea by Rodriguez, but he missed inside. Just tomahawking that ball up and in and hitting it foul. And we've already talked a couple of times this postseason about how close to the plate Everett stands when he's at the plate. A little closer when he's batting left-handed.
That's one of those swings where you try to hit it before it hits you.
And Everett succeeded. A walk, a single, and a good pitch by Rodriguez for out number 2. Just kept pounding Everett inside. That one down and in.
Pounding him inside, and you can see the break on our box tracks, the break of the curveball. That is down. Normally it's very good to go inside with the fastball and then throw the breaking ball. Good sequence by Ausmus and Rodriguez.
And now Rowan trying to make something count in this inning for the White Sox. 2 on, 2 out. Strike 1. Say this, Rodriguez has come out of the bullpen in a tough spot. And he is pitching his style. He's not out there rearing back and trying to throw it as hard as he can in his first crack here in the World Series. He's made some good pitches. And he gets through a scoreless inning. So Clemens is out, Wandy Rodriguez is in. It's a tie game as we go to the 4th, Game 1 here in Chicago. Nice night as it turns out here in Chicago. It's cool but not cold. Rain has stayed away. It was hailing about an hour and a half before the start of this game. And now in a 3-3 game, 4th inning, Contreras deals a strike to Lamb, who homered his first time.
How about that? A home run, your first trip up in a World Series at bat.
Bagwell will follow. Lamb was swinging for his second. It's 0-2.
Remember Andrew Jones, our first World Series together back in 1996, who homered in his first 2 World Series at bats as a 19-year-old.
Youngest ever.
Yeah. That still holds up.
0-2 the count on Lamb. Last 29 games, Mike Lamb came into this game hitting .323 with 7 home runs. Had 2 in the postseason already. Now his 3rd, tied the game at the time in the 2nd. White Sox got 2 in the bottom half. The Astros answered with 2 in the 3rd. Good pitch by Contreras, 1 out. Second strikeout for the Chicago right-hander. This date in baseball history, October 22nd, 1975. With the Reds and Red Sox tied 3-3 in the 9th. Game 7 of the World Series, Joe Morgan knocked a clutch single up the middle for a 4-3 lead, and the Reds emerged as world champs. For more Major League Baseball information, log on to foxsports.com on MSN. Keyword Budweiser, and there is the Hall of Famer Joe Morgan. It was with the Houston Colt 45s and then part of that Big Red Machine, and working this postseason on radio with John Miller. Strike 1 on Bagwell.
I believe I remember it right. When Joe was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he gave Nellie Fox credit for his early tutoring and tutelage with the Colt 45s back in 1963, and Nellie Fox the MVP for the White Sox in '59.
But then again, you might be wrong about that. 1 ball, 1 strike.
What a player. Boy, he was good.
Oh. Here comes a 1-1 to Bagwell. 2 balls and a strike. So Bagwell makes his way back. Just rehabs the heck out of his shoulder that was operated on in May. He is activated after September 1st, but he was on the DL, so he was eligible to be part of the postseason roster. And Phil Garner wanted to see what Bagwell could do down the stretch. He won a key game for him with a pinch hit single, had a couple more hits. And for Bagwell, the Astros all-time leader in home runs, RBIs, and walks. Good base runner, a leader on this team. He gets the nod here in game 1 as the DH. The 3-1 pitch, full count. And he said he may strike out and he may not get any hits, but along the way he's going to have good at bats against Contreras tonight. For a guy that's played as long as he has, with an opportunity to get to the World Series, he is setting the pain aside. And he shoots one in the air to left, didn't get it all, and Podsednik is there for the 2nd out. Jeff Bagwell rushed his rehab to get back and active. Here he is.
They kind of stuck that little carrot out there for me, and they were playing real well, and we were getting close to September, and they were right in the wild card. And I said, the heck, man, let's just push this rehab and do the best I can. Maybe I could just come back and pinch hit, and who knows where that will lead. And in the back of my mind, the ultimate goal was this, is to getting here, and that's the reason why I did it.
Obtained from the Boston Red Sox in 1990 for Larry Anderson.
And when you think about trading deadline deals, I guess in recent history, depending on what you consider recent, the one that compares best to that is the Braves getting John Smoltz from the Tigers for Doyle Alexander. That's out of the reach of Konerko. And strike 1 on Jason Lane.
Yeah, I don't think the Bagwell for Larry Anderson deal was quite as big as Frank Robinson for Milt Pappas in the winter of 1965, or Lou Brock for Ernie Broglio, Chicago Cubs outfielder at the time, and of course went on to a Hall of Fame career with the St. Louis Cardinals. That was a trade that the north side of this city will never forget.
The 1-1. Lane pops it up, and that'll play for Dye. As you said before the game, In the Houston Astros history, it's as big as they get.
That's right.
Getting Jeff Bagwell from the Red Sox. This beautiful city on a nice night. 3-3 after 3.5 in Game 1. A.J. Pierzynski, who drove in a run with a ground out, scored a run in the second, leads it off against Wandy Rodriguez, and he takes low for ball 1. The only other postseason experience Wandy Rodriguez has is working in Game 4 of that division series against Atlanta, the 18-inning game, where the Astros would have used Larry Dierker if they could have brought him out to pitch. So it was like, all right, Wandy, is that your, all right, go out there and pitch. And that's the game that Roger Clemens eventually won with 3 innings of one-hit ball out of the bullpen to propel the Astros into the NLCS. Pierzynski off balance, bounces one to Lamb. One away. Jim Hickey, the pitching coach. Plenty to talk to him about. Here's our visit with the Astros pitching coach. Well, Jim Hickey, Game 1 of the World Series. You go in with Roger Clemens, and 2 innings later, you don't have him. What's the update on his health?
To tell you the truth, I haven't been up there to check on him since after that inning, but his hamstring just tightened up a little bit on him. He was able to continue to go, and he was willing to continue to go, but we just thought it would be best if we ended up getting him out of there. And we've got the extra pitcher that we're carrying, so I don't think it'll have that much of an effect on us.
So now the world is looking at this left-hander, Wandy Rodriguez. We saw some good things from him in that first inning of work. What do you expect we'll see the rest of the night?
Well, certainly this is where, strange things happen, and this is where maybe a guy like this comes onto the scene. But he's been solid for us. He won 10 ball games or so throughout the course of the year, but I'd expect to see a couple of more innings of what he's done. He's thrown a pretty good fastball, mixed in a couple of good curveballs, and also a couple of nice changeups.
As a pitching coach, when you've got a rookie in this situation, how much do you just kind of not want to crowd his head with too much stuff about White Sox hitters and scouting reports and all that?
Right, absolutely. Not too much.
Talk to Jim Hickey, a home run hit by Creedy into left center field. And right on cue as his pitching coach is talking about not wanting to crowd his head with too much. Joe Creedy will crowd his head with the sound of a home run to put the White Sox on top 4-3 in the 4th. What a postseason, Tim, Joe Creedy is having. He is making a name for himself.
Well, I should say, from Westphalia, Missouri, little agricultural community about 15 miles from Jefferson City, Missouri, and that looked like a fastball out over the plate, and he crushed it to left center.
3rd home run of this postseason, coming off a huge ALCS. Key hits, clutch hits, and now he puts the White Sox back on top 4-3 in the 4th.
You can see that ball right around the letters, a fastball that sailed right in the middle of the plate and sailed out of this ballpark to once again give the White Sox a lead.
On 1-1, Uribe with a huge swing, strike 2, and Tavares came awfully close with a leap and just over his glove and over the wall for the White Sox lead. On 1-2, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Uribe with a 2-out RBI double in the 2nd. Full count. Now we'll see how Wandy Rodriguez responds after he gets that jolt from Joe Creedy.
That was a fastball, so normally you don't want to do the same thing to the next hitter. I would think this will be a breaking ball to Uribe. Nope.
And a walk with 1 out here in the 4th. Well, you and I were talking about the dominant pitching coming into tonight's Game 1, and so far 10 hits, 7 runs, 142 total pitches. Contreras has been anything but dominating, and Clemens is already out of the game.
Further expert analysis.
Yeah. Nothing but the best for you on Fox. So Jim Hickey was visiting with us, and that's obviously the risk you run when you play an interview
right
in the middle of the inning, and it's worth hearing from him The question that I had asked and the answer we were getting when Creedy hit the home run was about not trying to fill this kid's head with too much with scouting reports and don't do this, do try to do this. Just let him go out there and pitch. And so far, after getting through a scoreless third, he's now allowed to run on the home run. He has walked Uribe and will deal with the top of the lineup. Here's Podsednik.
We saw a bunt by Willie Taveras in a similar situation, moving 2 runners along. And I wouldn't be a bit surprised because of the left-hander to see Podsednik sometime during this at-bat perhaps lay one down.
And even with 1 out, Ensberg is in at third. So the Astros are thinking along the same lines. 1 on, 1 out. And the ball 1 to Podsednik. 14 home runs the White Sox have hit this postseason. So when you compare the 2 lineups, I think it's fair to say that Ozzie Guillen has more thunder in his lineup than the Astros do coming into this World Series.
Thunder spread throughout the lineup.
There's a strike from Rodriguez. 1 ball, 1 strike. So it's not just small ball for the White Sox, who as a team hit 200 home runs during the regular season. That's 4th best in the American League. One on, 1 out. Ball 2.
Count 2 balls and 1 strike earlier in the game. Aaron Rowan hit and run. We'll see if Ozzie Guillen. It's unusual to hit and run with a left-handed hitter against a left-handed pitcher. They don't make the contact right-handers do.
And now Uribe gets a look at the pickoff move of Wandy Rodriguez. You could fool a lot of American League pitchers with this stat. Joe Creedy is playing with 2 herniated discs in his back. Wow. The 27-year-old third baseman, who was signed originally as a shortstop, moved out to the outfield, has been on fire since coming off the DL. Up the middle, base hit. Uribe will stop at second, 2 on, 1 out. And Podsednik has his first hit of the night.
Again, a hitting situation. Looking for the fastball. He got it and drilled it right back into your living room.
If you happen to call your home center field. And with 2 on, 1 out, here's Iguchi. Tadahito is 0 for 2. Foul. You and I hadn't seen much of Iguchi prior to the ALCS, but everything we saw during that series against the Angels, you just came away more and more impressed night after night watching this player who's considered a rookie in his first year with the White Sox.
15 home runs this year. He hit for a nice average, turns the double play well.
And hits into him as well. 4-6-3. The home run by Creedy puts the White Sox back in front. His 3rd of this postseason. A crisp shot on a cool night. 4-3 Chicago. Back after this from your local station. Well, for the 3rd time, Jose Contreras has been handed a lead. It's 4-3. The White Sox out in front, and Ausmus, who singled his first time, pops it up. Jermaine Dye, 1 out. And we're underway in the 5th inning. Some of the Fox celebrities in attendance tonight: Bernie Mac from the Bernie Mac Show, Johnny Messner and Shy McBride, both from Killer Instinct, Fridays at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on Fox. And Dan Castellaneta, who is the voice of Homer Simpson. Homer couldn't be here tonight, so he brought his voice. The animator off tonight.
Oh, Homer's here tonight. 3 solo shots.
Oh,
one by
there
Houston.
it is.
2 by the White Sox.
Oh, man.
Come on.
To the third baseman. Another pick by Creedy. He's not only hitting home runs, but he has played an airtight defense over at third.
You complete the play. If you're a guy like Creedy, he knows that he's not sure whether the ball, he knows that he's not sure whether the ball's fair or foul. So you complete the play and let the umpire call it.
What's up, Yogi?
He knows he's not sure. Right. Good play.
With 2 out and nobody on, back to the top of the order. Biggio takes outside, ball 1. Top of the 5th, 4-3, the White Sox lead it. Two and 0.
Yogi Berra, a coach for the Houston Astros, and very close to Craig Biggio and Jeff Bagwell. Very close.
2 and 1.
Yogi probably watching the game tonight with his wife Carmen in Montclair, New Jersey. An American legend.
And one of the sweetest, nicest guys you would ever meet.
The best.
Here's a 2-1. Biggio jammed a bit. Creedy to his left. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Game 1. That means we're halfway through it. And the White Sox lead 4-3. The arm movements and the excitement of Ozzie Guillen, who moments ago stopped by to chat with us. Ozzie, the most relaxed we've seen you is when Jermaine Dye hit the home run into right. You've been jumping around doing hand signals all night. He hits the home run and you're sitting there in your chair. What's going on down there in the dugout?
Well, the thing is, I always, before the game starts, I always try to get my kids pumped up. And when as soon as we do something, I try to stay the cool as I can. And I'm not going to show up. They're not the manager. I'm not going to be a cheerleader.
Let's talk about Jose Contreras. You guys have handed him 3 leads now. He hasn't been as dominant tonight as he has earlier in the postseason. What do you see?
Well, I see the same way. I think his forkball, was too affected today. I think he's behind the hitters a little bit, and he just hang one pitch to the ball hit to the right field. He just boys hanging. I went out to tell him, don't let this kid beat you, and he did it with the first pitch.
Are you having any fun yet?
Well, right now I love it. Before the game and after the game, it's kind of crazy. But you're in the World Series. What can be better?
Thanks, Ozzie.
All right, Venezuela.
A shout out to Venezuela. 41-year-old manager. Team out in front, and a 4-pitch walk is handed out to Jermaine Dye. He's been on base 3 times tonight. That's the 3rd walk issued by Wandy Rodriguez in 2+ innings.
There's a big difference when you walk the leadoff hitter compared to walking a guy with 1 or 2 outs. And I would think that walk would stir that Houston Astro bullpen.
Because Rodriguez has at least gotten it to the 5th inning.
Right.
There's nobody out in the 5th, but they've got Russ Springer down there who could be a guy to bridge the gap between the injured starter Clemens, Rodriguez, and then some of those late inning arms, which are lights out, to use a phrase. Not just Lidge, but Chad Qualls and Dan Wheeler out of the bullpen for Houston. They are terrific. And it's a 1-run game here in the 5th. And they do start now in the Houston bullpen. 1 on, nobody out. Canerco is 1 for 2. 1 ball, 1 strike. Jim Hickey on the phone. And Russ Springer is getting loose. Not with too much urgency. There's a pitch low and away, 2-1. If getting loose means that he's walking around, then he's getting loose. Got to be honest, I'm a little surprised he's not throwing.
Yeah, I am too.
A Leadoff walk to Dye. 2 balls and a strike on Konerko, and a check on Jermaine Dye, who has a minuscule lead. Now action starts for the Astros in their bullpen. And this is how it started. He threw 1 pitch, and the bullpen catcher bounced one off the wall.
It's the World Series. He's over anxious.
3-1 on Konerko.
Now the first 8 pitches, 7 have been balls here in the 5th inning. Oh, what a enviable hitting situation for Paul Konerko. He'll look for a fastball to drill and pull.
Into center field, a hit. His second of the night, 2 on, nobody out.
He got the fastball outside part of the plate. Hits it right back up the middle. Second hit of the night for Konerko. I think Jim Hickey buying time here by talking to Rodriguez. Buying time to give Springer a chance to warm up. And there are a lot of ways that Ozzie Guillen could go here. You could bunt with Everett.
Two on, nobody out. Everett is coming up tomorrow on Fox NFL Sunday. The 49ers travel to D.C. to take on the Redskins. The Packers and Vikings square off, or 2 first-place teams collide. The Red Hot Cowboys battle Sean Alexander and the Seahawks, or other regional action. It all begins with a look at the Cowboys' turnaround on the pregame show tomorrow at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Fox.
A shot at Russ Springer, who is warming in earnest for the Astros. Morgan Ensberg was involved in that conversation between Osmus and Rodriguez, how they were going to pitch him so he could be set for the bunt if Everett decides to drop one down.
Shows it, drops it down to third, and the play is to first. Second and third, 1 out. And even with the DH, the White Sox showing that they are not going to get away from small ball in this World Series.
The curveball, and Ensberg, you can see him breaking in, and a fine bunt. That's what a bunter tries to do, make the third baseman feel the ball. Executed to perfection by Everett.
So the sacrifice is good. Now first base is open, and Aaron Rowand, the right-handed hitting center fielder, is at the plate. And Springer stays in the bullpen. Rowand takes a ball high. First base is open. They don't have to come to Rowand with the left-handed hitting Pierzynski next. Osmus keeps shooting a look into that dugout like, are we going to walk this guy or what?
Yeah. That's an excellent point, Joe, and sure enough, Phil Garner may have heard you. The one problem with this is that Rodriguez threw 7 of his first 8 pitches as balls to start this inning. Konerko got the hit, then the bunt by Everett. So Garner will rely on Rodriguez to get Pierzynski out, but keep in mind Rodriguez has been wild during this inning.
Well, I know he didn't hear me, but I know he saw the looks that Osmus was giving him, like, hello. First base open, lefty on deck, and obviously not that Garner needs coaxing from Osmus, but this would be the percentage call.
Sure.
And this crowd to its feet with Pierzynski walking in. Bases loaded, 1 out. Pierzynski 0 for 2 with an RBI. Ball 1.
See, that's the danger in that intentional walk. Now Rodriguez with 2 straight balls to Pierzynski. Ideal hitting situation for AJ.
A rocket foul into the upper deck.
I think it was fair to say that he was looking for a fastball. Inside part, yanks it foul.
2-1. The opposite way, slicing down the line, foul, and it's 2-2. You could see a subtle movement by Ausmus before the first pitch, telling Rodriguez he wanted the ball up. I think that's their overall game plan here with Pierzynski, is to deliver high pitches. Pierzynski likes the ball down. There's that move again by Ausmus.
Well, the bad thing about that is if you set up high, you're telling the hitter that a fastball's coming. Seen Ausmus set up high several times tonight. It's easy to relay position to a hitter if you're the runner at second base.
Pierzynski down to second, out, back to first, brilliantly turned by the Astros. And after all that, the White Sox come away with nothing. 3-6-1. Lamb, Everett, and Wandy Rodriguez, the rookie, there to take the throw. It's still a 1-run game after 5. Well, the question now is for the White Sox, has Jose Contreras finally settled in? He's retired 7 in a row. He has a 1-run lead, and he will deal with the 2, 3, and 4 hitters. Taveras into left center field. That ball is down. At least 2. Taveras will stop at second with a leadoff double. Good start to the 6th for the Astros, who are down by 1.
What a turn of events in 2 swings of the bat. First by Pierzynski in the double play, and now Willie Taveras to lead off the 6th inning with a double to left center.
So I guess the answer to that question is no. Has Jose Contreras settled in? He has allowed so far 3 runs on 5 hits, and a guy who got him for a 2-out 2-run double in his last at bat in the 3rd to tie the game digs in Lance Berkman. Inside, ball 1. Berkman over the last 2 postseasons has now driven in 22 runs and hit 6 home runs along the way. Big home run in Game 5 for the Astros of the NLCS. That grand slam in Game 4 of the division series against Atlanta. He advances Taveras to third. Good play by Konerko. Squared it up, got his body in front of it, 1 out.
And if you're the Chicago White Sox, you love this. Berkman pulling the ball, advancing Taveras, but the White Sox got the out. And against a guy like Lance Berkman, that's more important.
The wrist and the gut of Konerko made the stop on that. And now the tying run at third with 1 out for Ensberg, who has 9 RBIs this postseason after driving home 101 during the regular season. Morgan last year hit 10 home runs. This year, he was an all-star. He hit 36. Infield is in. Ball 1. It really points out the job that Gary Gaetti has done as the hitting coach for Phil Garner. Garner took over. The team took off last year after the All-Star break. Garner's done an amazing job as the manager, and Gaetti last year dealing with veterans, this year dealing with a lot of young players. as Houston in the World Series. A 1-0 pitch. Hard hit. Nice play by Creedy. He has done everything. 2 out.
He hardly has to move. No way can Taveras move. Nice play by Joe Creedy.
That ball was blistered. And Creedy gets the second out. Now Mike Lamb with the tying run at third, 2 out. Tied up on a pitch down and in, ball 1. Lamb is homered and struck out. Here's another example of what Gaetti has done as the hitting coach. You see guys all over the place like Chris Burke, Taveras, the work he's done with Berkman, Jason Lane. Good pitch. Pulled the string, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Houston trying to cash in on a leadoff double. Blocked by Pierzynski to save the tying run. 2-1. Springer and now Qualls joins him in the Houston bullpen. Contreras trying to keep the lead through the top of the 6th. Hard hit right out of Gucci. Leadoff double wasted by the Astros. And Creedy, part of that great White Sox defense. 4-3 Chicago after 5.5. Wandy Rodriguez is back to work. Even with Qualls ready to go and Springer has been warming up for a while. Creedy took Rodriguez out of the park in the 4th. And Phil Garner's going to stay with him. Change up and a pop foul out of play. And Joe Creedy, the man at the plate, is the difference of late in this game. In the 4th inning, put the White Sox out in front with a home run and then made the diving stop on a hard hit ball by Ensberg in the top of this 6th. So he gets to face Rodriguez again. And he hits a ton down the left field line. It is foul. And you have to wonder, with the right-handers ready to go, why Rodriguez is still in the ball game for Houston.
I think, Joe, whether it's right or wrong, we'll see. But I think the reason was the double play that got Rodriguez out of the inning. That 3-6-1 double play. Trying to extend him through the 6th.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Qualls, who has been so good for the Astros in this postseason, is ready to go if and when he's needed. Creedy pops it up right side and it'll play. Biggio is over from his second base spot for out number 1. Our Nissan game summary as we play here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Clemens only lasted 2 left with a bad left hamstring. Contreras is through 6. Creedy, Jermaine Dye have each homered for the White Sox. Home run coming for Houston from Mike Lamb. The White Sox offense 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position. They've left 6 on so far tonight.
A lot of times when a hitter has a backswing, he will alert the catcher and the home plate umpire. I believe Creedy hit home plate umpire Joe West in the mask. It's very unusual to hit the home plate umpire. Normally you'll hit the catcher, but watch this.
Ooh.
just knocks the mask right off of Joe West's face. And fortunately for Joe, it did not hit in that soft hat area. Joe appears to be all right.
2-0 the count on Uribe, and now a strike from Rodriguez. Wandy Rodriguez could reward the faith that Phil Garner has shown in him by getting through this 6th inning and keeping it a 1-run game. 2-2 on Uribe. Wonder how serious the hamstring injury is for Clemens, and if the next time around it's Wandy Rodriguez making the start.
Yeah.
Instead of the Rocket. That's out of play off to the right. Still 2-2. Already 66 pitches thrown in 3 1/3 innings for Rodriguez, and some of that, the 4 walks he's issued. 2-2 pitch. Uribe wouldn't chase it. Full count.
Close to going around, but he appeared to hold up. Andy Pettitte, tomorrow night's starter.
Another walk handed out by Rodriguez, and we'll see if that's it for this rookie left-hander. That's 5 walks, and that was as deep into this 6th inning, down by 1 run, as Phil Garner wanted to go. So Qualls is coming in, Rodriguez is coming out, even with the left-handed Podsednik coming up. How valuable has the combination of Chad Qualls and Dan Wheeler been getting to Brad Lidge, who's about as good as it gets stuff-wise as a closer across baseball? A check on Uribe. One reason why, even with the left-hander Tim coming up and Podsednik, Rodriguez, the lefty, is taken out, is Qualls, who features a splitter, held left-handed batters to a .218 average. So very good against left-handed swingers, and Podsednik takes low for ball 1. A 1-out walk. That was the end of the night for Rodriguez. 3 1/3, 1 run, 4 hits, 5 walks, 1 strikeout. Two 2-0.
2 sinkers to try to induce the ground ball from Podsednik. Even though he's not a double play candidate, he's too fast. Talk to the hitters about Qualls, and as much as any middle reliever in the major leagues, they say he is nasty. That's a word you don't usually hear about middle relievers.
There's a ground ball. Biggio, Everett in the middle, and no chance with not only Podsednik running, but Biggio couldn't get it out of his glove cleanly. 2 out. Tomorrow night is game 2 of this World Series. And we will be on the air at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, live from U.S. Cellular Field. Andy Pettitte, Mark Burley, 2 good left-handers. Andy Pettitte will be making yet another postseason start. He's made 33. He has 14 postseason wins. He made his first pitching well for Joe Torre back in 1996 against Atlanta. Now we'll do it for the Houston Astros. Ball 1 to Iguchi.
And the only reason Scott Podsednik didn't run on the first pitch, he wanted to see Qualls' delivery home. It was a slider that missed, and a more obvious running situation right here.
Ozzie Guillen's been somewhat disappointed with Podsednik stealing second, and now as this one trickles away, no chance to get Scott, and he's at second with 2 out with his 5th steal of the postseason.
Sometimes from a catching standpoint, there is nothing you can do but try to get the strike, throw him out. No way can you pitch out when you're behind in the count. There are 2 outs, you just go after the hitter.
Earlier in the postseason, Guillen said for some reason Podsednik's having a much easier time stealing third than he is second. Kind of lost his stride down the stretch, but he picked it up the middle part of that series against the Angels.
Scott telling us yesterday he likes to double up too. If he steals second, he'll steal third, but with 2 outs, it's unlikely.
2-1 on Iguchi. Tadahito 71 RBIs during the regular season, 4 out of the number 2 spot in the postseason. Tonight 0 for 3. Here's a 2-1. Good pitch. 2-2.
Backup slider. That thing designed to be on the outside part. You could see Osmus setting up outside. It stayed inside. One of the more deceptive pitches in baseball. A hitter thinks it's going to be one spot and it's another.
Qualls comes in and does his job. Gets the strikeout after getting the ground out from Podsednik. Off we go to the 7th. Good game. 1-run White Sox lead. Game 1 of the World Series back after this from your local station. Jose Contreras back to the hill. 7th inning. 4-3. The White Sox lead game 1, and the 37-year-old Jeff Bagwell takes a strike over the inside corner. It'll be Bagwell, Lane, and Osmus. If anybody gets on, Adam Everett for the Astros. And Bagwell just let it hit him.
Pierzynski immediately going out in front of home plate and telling Contreras to stay on top. Sometimes pitchers get very comfortable when they drop down. And for the second time in this game, Jeff Bagwell is hit. Well, I'll tell you.
Crafty.
Ozzie Guillen not questioning the fact that Bagwell didn't try to get out of the way of the ball, but crafty is the word.
Crafty on the part of Bagwell.
Absolutely.
He just stood there, moved his legs a little bit, but in the end threw that right leg in the way of the baseball, and there's the tying run with nobody out. In the 7th as Lane pops it up behind first. Tough play, and Canerco staggers but makes it. After his last at bat, Bagwell caught the attention of Brandon Backey and Charles Gibson on the bench. They had this to say about the veteran DH.
How many people you know stride up and back and then hit? You know you're a good hitter when you make up your own stance and just do. You got kids across the nation doing the same thing. Yeah. I'm gonna hit like Jeff Bagwell. No, you're not, son. You better learn the basics first.
We've talked about it in postseasons past. Bagwell, who almost looks like he's sitting down when he's at the plate waiting for a pitch, was hit by a pitch to start this inning. He's on, 1 out, and here's Osmus. And he is grazed by the pitch. 2 on with 1 out on 2 hit batsmen. And neither one would leave a bruise.
I would think that more than anything would cause stirring in the White Sox bullpen. Osmus getting out of the way of it. And remember, Pierzynski going out and saying stay on top. He has not been on top of the ball this inning. And what happens when you drop down, the ball tails into right-handers, and that's what it's done.
And it has also put that White Sox bullpen into action. So 2 on with 1 out, and here's a chance for the Astros. Adam Everett at the plate, and a pop foul back here. Let's go down to Chris Myers.
Joe, Tim, the temperature has dropped here. It's gotten a lot cooler in between the last few innings. Jose Contreras has slipped into the locker room as if to keep warm. He's been stretching and motioning as if to say he's stiffening up a little bit to his teammates. His shoulder and back is the area that he was motioning to, so we'll keep an eye on that.
2 on, 1 out, 0-1 pitch, ground ball to short. Uribe, Iguchi, safe, and the inning continues. It's a force-out 6-4, first and third, 2 out.
Adam Everett got out of the box in a hurry because the pitch was away. When a right-handed hitter does that, he gets a good jump out of the box, and that was the difference between safe and out.
And Everett was safe. So now you've got a very productive, dangerous RBI man who hits in the leadoff spot for Houston. A chance for Biggio, his first World Series game, and he grounds to third. Creedy again on a dive to end the inning. Creedy has made 3 good plays over at third and homered back in the fourth to put the White Sox up by a run. They still lead it 4-3. And it's time to stretch. A couple of balls have been pumped out of this park, and we play in the bottom of the 7th inning as the White Sox bat. They lead by a run. Qualls got out of the 6th, and here he is starting the 7th. And he misses up and away, ball 1. It'll be Dye, Konerko, and Everett. Action continues for the White Sox out in their pen. And you wonder if we have seen, with Marte getting loose, the end of Jose Contreras. You know what Ozzie Guillen is thinking, as this crowd wants to see one of the White Sox get grazed by a pitch to get down to first. He's gone so long with his starting pitching. He had the 4 straight complete games in the ALCS. It's a tight game, a 1-run game. How's his bullpen going to respond to the layoff? But Contreras seems to be nearing an end to his night.
Yeah, you don't know whether Marte is just up and throwing to get in the game or just throwing to get his throwing in.
A strike from Qualls. It's 3-1.
Do have a right-handed hitting Willie Taveras to lead off the 8th inning. And then Berkman, who's a switch hitter, but the Sox have seen enough of him from the left side tonight.
Dye chops into short for Everett. Low throw and safe as Lamb can't dig it out. That'll be an error on Adam Everett to start the bottom of the 7th.
Low throw, and Lamb can't come up with it. First error of the ball game as Adam Everett on an easy play underthrows first base.
Talked to a couple of infielders during October's past who have told me that not only is it an issue for a pitcher after a long layoff, but on a cold night, their arms tend to stiffen up. The end of a long year, and Everett short-armed it over to first. Konerko takes a strike from Qualls. That's the first error of the night, and for Everett, his 3rd of the postseason. Now Bobby Jenks, the closer for the White Sox, joins Marte. Konerko wouldn't chase it. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And whenever Jenks gets up, it's not just to get his throwing in.
Those guys are dying for work down there, and Jenks would easily have 2 innings in his arm tonight. Good pitch by Qualls. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Konerko.
Well, you think about that last inning with Contreras. You had the 2-hit batsman, and then another fine play by Joe Creedy to get the White Sox out of that situation. So I think Ozzie perhaps has seen enough.
Runner at first, Jermaine Dye has been on base 4 times tonight. A homer, 2 walks, and now reaching on an error. Canerco just gets a piece, still 1-2.
Boy, this tailing fastball just chews up Paul Canerco inside.
First pickoff throw over there by Qualls almost took off on Mike Lamb. Qualls is throwing it over to first at about 98.
He's got a radar gun on him throwing to first.
Canerco chops it foul outside third. A.J. Pierzynski tonight has an RBI, also hit into a key double play against Wandy Rodriguez in the 5th. Dye left too early, and Qualls held it. Gets Dye in the rundown, throw over, safe. So a missed chance by the Astros to wipe Jermaine Dye right off the bases.
I will say this, he had a good jump. However, the return throw and Dye sliding to the outside of the bag. Watch Mike Lamb. He does not make the tag. So Dye thought he had Qualls red even after those 2 throws over there. And then diving to the outside part of the bag beautifully.
We talk about a fielder, in this case, the pitcher holding it long enough to make the runner commit one way or the other as Canerco pops it into right. Dye will tag, but not advance. Runner at first, 1 out. Everett coming up. The World Series on Fox, sponsored by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world. By Sprint. Sprint, yes you can. By John Hancock, official sponsor of Major League Baseball. And by eBay. Whatever it is, you can get it on eBay. 1 on, 1 out for Everett. Carl 1 for 2, dropped down to sacrifice bunt his last time up. Big swing by Carl.
I think Carl was trying to hit that last sinker to the north side.
Yeah.
Ooh.
One on, 1 out. 0-1 pitch. Everett pops it up. Two down. Our John Hancock in-game box score. But Zednik has a hit. Dye with a home run, 2 walks. Has also reached on an error. Canerco has 2 singles. Rowan has a base hit. Pierzynski is held hitless, does have an RBI, but Creedy has not only picked up the solo home run, but 3 good plays over at third. Now Neil Kotz is a lefty, loosening as Damaso Marte sits down. Here's Rowan. Aaron singled his first time up, and he grounds foul outside third. Skyline that we've shown you tonight, sitting behind us here at U.S. Cellular Field and looking out toward Gary, Indiana. is this stadium, which has undergone a renovation. It's 15 years old. Well, what a great job they did taking off the top deck and making this a more cozy ballpark, putting on that mini roof around the top, and it's held a lot of the noise in. And this has been one of the louder stadiums we've visited.
Yeah.
I would say over the past 4 or 5 years.
We experienced it several years ago when the American League won the All-Star game in this ballpark.
With 2 down, Rowan strikes out. Walls has done his work. He gets the game into the 8th inning. Well, the White Sox still clinging to a 4-3 lead. Maybe the key stat is at the top. Pitches 80 for Jose Contreras. He hit 2 last inning, 3 on the night. That ties a World Series record, and he's back to work in the 8th. He hits the inside corner with a strike to Taveras. Willie Taveras tonight has dropped down a sacrifice bunt. He's doubled. 1 for 2.
Contreras may be out there for 1 hitter, then bring in Kotz to turn Berkman around.
Into left center field. Rowan is trying to get there, will not. Taveras has another extra base hit off the base of the wall, and he'll hold at second with a leadoff double. Same thing he did in the 6th. And we'll see if Ozzie Guillen is going to go to his bullpen. The last time he had to do it 11 days ago in Game 1 of the ALCS in a Contreras start. And let's see if this is it.
Yeah, he'll go to Kotz right here, trying to get through 1 more hitter. I think Ozzie, you can see him shaking his head. I'm not sure he's happy with that decision.
Our WebMD health update: no injury, but rusty arms out in that bullpen for the White Sox. You can check your own symptoms as well as learn more about common sports injuries at symptom.webmd.com. This time it's in the 8th. Contreras will give way to the bullpen. Kotz coming in with Berkman coming up.
Now this is the White Sox, number 46, Neil Kotz.
Jose Contreras gets into the 8th inning, but has to give way to the bullpen. Neil Kotz was terrific out of the bullpen for the White Sox during the regular season. Big numbers, good numbers. Held right-handed batters to a 155 average, lefties 206. And it's been 11 days since the bullpen last made an appearance, and it was Kotz in game 1 of the ALCS, taking over for Contreras, and he deals a strike. Tim, you and I talked to Cliff Polite, was talking about the simulated games that the bullpenners went through during the week and the layoff. He said it felt like spring training again, trying to get their arms loose. Then he talked to Key, and he said these guys threw the heck out of the ball. Great velocity. And Kotz is 0-2 in a blink on Berkman. The tying run at second, nobody out.
Yeah, at this time of year, adrenaline and the fact that they have not pitched in a long time. It's certainly the proper move, turning Berkman around.
Ball 1. Marte, the lefty, is up again, and Bobby Jenks, the closer for the White Sox, is ready to go. It's Berkman now, Ensberg on deck. Two and two. Berkman with a base hit into left. Taveras will have to hold at third, and it's first and third, nobody out for Houston. So they turn Berkman around. He gets a base hit after 2 quick strikes. And there are runners at the corners with nobody out, and Ensberg coming up.
Looked like a slider over the fat part of the plate. And as good a hitter as Lance Berkman is, he doesn't miss those pitches.
This stadium awfully quiet while the Astros mount their 8th inning rally.
This is why managers will have left, right, left, right. Phil Garner has staggered his lineup so they can't pitch around Lance Berkman.
Now Ensberg, Kotz stays in, and Ensberg chases one up and out of the strike zone, strike 1. On deck is Lamb, the left-handed hitting first baseman. So Kotz stays in. Jenks stays in the bullpen. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ensberg 0 for 3 tonight. White Sox have turned 1 double play. Two and 1.
Situation once again with nobody out, runners on at first and third. Carl Everett scored on a similar play earlier. On a hard hit ball, you come in from third. On a slowly hit ball to third base, you may not want to do that.
Great speed running at third, and Willie Taveras for Houston. On the inside corner, 2 and 2.
Right on the corner at the knees.
One away.
Kotz just blowing that fastball right by Morgan Ensberg. The first pitch and then the last pitch.
First and third, 1 out, lefty on lefty. Here is Mike Lamb. Ball 1 scooped up by Pierzynski. Lamb is homered tonight. 1 and 1. Back in the second. Lamb tied it. Trying to do it here for the Astros, tie it with any one of a number of things. First and third, one out. 2-1. Now you're in a spot with Bagwell on deck if you're Ozzie Guillen. If Kotz can get through Lamb, then you have Bobby Jenks,
Right.
with his high-octane stuff to come out of the bullpen. 2-2.
He has thrown 10 straight fastballs. And if you're a hitter, you can't look for anything but that right here.
Just ties up Lamb in the defensive swing. It stays 2-2. Two out. Bagwell coming up after the strikeout of Mike Lamb.
All fastballs.
Guillen looks down to his bullpen on his way out. And he makes the sign to the bullpen, give me the wide, tall guy. What a job by Kotz. If you're Bobby Jenks, here's what your manager thinks of you. Give me this guy, big guy, tall guy. Jenks coming in, first and third, 2 out, Sox up 1. Hugs for Neil Kotz after a fantastic job out of the bullpen for the White Sox. First from the start of Contreras, then Ozzie Guillen. One of the most important things, and we're going to get a pinch runner. Burke is going to come out of the dugout and run for Berkman. One of the most important things that Ozzie Guillen did this year and the White Sox did was develop Bobby Jenks as their closer. Takatsu started the season as the closer. Hermanson developed into that late inning guy, and then down the stretch it was Jenks, a guy who did not appear against the Angels in the ALCS, the franchise that cut him loose. 25-year-old brings it, 99, strike one.
.99 miles an hour.
And Bagwell with that bad right shoulder in the lineup as the DH tonight. 0 for 1, hit by a pitch twice. Finally getting a chance in the World Series, and what a chance this is in the 8th. First and third, down a run, 2 out. Runner goes, and Bagwell down on a knee. After that swing, it's 0-2.
If the pitch is tough to hit, they're tough to handle from a catcher's standpoint. He had 4 wild pitches in 39 innings this year.
And Pierzynski just happy to catch that. Burke takes second, and now a hit gives the Astros their first lead of the night. Scouts will tell you the best pure power in the majors comes out of the right arm of Bobby Jenks. It had him as high as 102. He's thrown 99, and he has Bagwell at a ball and 2 strikes. Bagwell trying to rescue this inning. 100 miles per hour. It's 2-2. Phil Garner electing to go with Bagwell as his DH. Lane on deck with all eyes on Bagwell. The 37-year-old, over 2,100 big league games, finally in the World Series. A hit could put Houston out in front in the 8th.
And Joe, in the World Series, the world knows that a fastball is coming.
Nothing but heat on a cold night from Jenks so far. They go to the big guy. He brings with him the heat and keeps a one-run White Sox lead in the 8th inning of Game 1. Chris Burke stays in the game and plays left after pinch running for Berkman. Saw Chris before tonight's game, a product All-American at Tennessee. As Springer enters the game here in the bottom of the 8th. And Burke was all wrapped up in the Tennessee-Alabama game. I said, which one were you more worried about tonight? He said, well, I'm not going to start thinking about Game 1 of the World Series until about 6:30. He's now in the game and left as Pierzynski deals with Springer and is up on the count 2-0. The White Sox catcher is 0 for 3 with an RBI. Creedy, one of the heroes to this point for the White Sox, is on deck. Pierzynski grounds a base hit through the right side. It's the top of the hour. Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Chris Myers with you. Game 1 of the 2005 World Series. And if you came into this World Series wondering if the bullpen for the White Sox would be rusty, forget about it. 2 strikeouts for Cox, and then Jenks blows one by the bat of Bagwell and keeps the runners at second and third and keeps a 1-run Chicago lead. Now we're in the bottom of the 8th. Creedy, strike 1. Creedy has popped up, homered, grounded out, and played a terrific third base.
He has been all over the place at third.
Pitch was up and Creedy fouled it back. The Astros will think back. They've had their leadoff man on each of the last 3 innings. They wasted a leadoff double by Taveras in the 6th, the guy who can run, and a leadoff double by Taveras in the 8th. Had 2 on, 1 out in the 7th, and couldn't do anything with it. Here's an 0-2. Ball 1. One on, nobody out. Creedy spoils it.
For the game, Phil Garner saying that one of the things that upsets him the most is not scoring a runner from third base with less than 2 outs. The Astros had 2 shots, and Neil Kotz struck out Morgan Innsberg, Mike Lamb, and then Jenks in to get Bagwell. What a job.
The 1-2, Creedy. It's a breaking ball foul. Fans, you can join Major League Baseball in our efforts to rebuild the Gulf Coast. Support Habitat for Humanity by calling 1-800-HABITAT or logging on to MLB.com or Habitat.org. Greedy off balance. Looked like Springer took something off that pitch, and in right field, it's Lane for out number 1. 1 on, 1 out. Uribe will step to the plate. Back in the first inning, Jermaine Dye went deep for Chicago. Mike Lamb tied it with a solo shot in the second for Houston. Then in the bottom of the second, an RBI force out hit into by Pierzynski and a 2-out RBI double by Uribe. Astros tied it at the top of the third. It stayed 3-3 until the bottom of the fourth when Creedy went deep, and that is it for the scoring in game 1. Temperature has really dropped over the last hour. Strike 1 on the corner to Uribe. Springer's a guy who a couple of seasons ago sat out the year with arm trouble, but revived his career, and he's been a valuable right-hander out of this very good bullpen for Houston.
That was almost a balk by Russ. Looked like he had his spike on his right foot hang up on the rubber, but he stepped off just in time. Watch. Oh, that was close.
Little extra step there with that right foot.
Yeah.
Breaking ball is inside. 1-1. Six times in his professional career, Springer's been on the DL. But this year with Houston, 4-4, 62 games. Off the end of the bat, shallow left, late break by Burke. He's there. 2 down.
You can imagine the dilemma of Chris Burke. First chance defensively, and his first step was back. Ball off the end of the bat. First step was back, but he recovered in time.
Burke, who came up as an infielder, still trying to get used to the outfield. Game time temperature 51 degrees. It's down to 45, and with a little breeze blowing around this stadium, it feels even cooler than that. So now 2 out. Pierzynski's still at first, and Podsednik is at the plate. Good bender in there for strike 1.
Get the feeling that the crowd here is saying, just get Bobby Jenks back out there. Extra runs are important, but the way he was throwing to Jeff Bagwell, unless that ball is down in the zone, you're not going to hit him.
High and tight. It's something that everybody was willing and anxious to talk about when the Sox were playing the Angels in the ALCS. Here's a guy, Jenks, who one time had a stress fracture in his pitching elbow. Put on waivers, cut loose. Signed by the White Sox, and now they've got a closer that throws 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, and he's almost bionic. He's got a screw in that right elbow.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
If you ever try to break out of prison, Tim, that's what it's going to sound like. Now Pierzynski gets it. Running, walking, trotting start down to second. And Springer deals ball 2 down and in. You want to talk about a prison break? That is just flat out larceny by Pierzynski. It's gotten into him, Tim.
I have never seen anybody involved in so many controversial plays in one postseason.
That's his second steal of the postseason. He had none during the regular year. The biggest steal Pierzynski had in the postseason was stealing first base at the end of Game 2 of the ALCS.
Yep.
And he went down to first in very similar fashion as he did going down to second moments ago, kind of looking over his shoulder the whole way.
With no play.
He's at second. 2 out. And the 2-2 to Podsednik. Now it's a full count. Podsednik may only have 1 hit tonight, but he has had some good at-bats and made pitchers work to try and get him out. It's a full count here. Podsednik into right center field. It will not be caught, and the White Sox in Game 1 lead by 2. Podsednik will cruise into third base with a 2-out RBI triple.
Outfield positioning was playing Podsednik over toward left center field. Tavares, you can see, into left center field, and this ball is hit right here. High fastball hammered into right center field.
Here's Iguchi. Podsednik at third with 2 down. Strike 1. Tadahito is 0 for 10 this postseason when hitting from the 7th inning on. He gets one here. The White Sox will have their biggest lead of the night. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two balls and a strike with Jermaine Dye next. To right, Lane is there, and game number 1 is sent into the ninth. Jenks back to the hill. Lane, Ausmus, Everett due up. White Sox leading 5-3. Bobby Jenks took care of Jeff Bagwell to end the 8th with 2nd and 3rd and 2 out. Kept the lead 4-3. Now it's 5-3, and it's the bottom 3 in the lineup, starting with Lane, then Ausmus, then Everett. Here in the 9th. 5-3 Chicago, game 1. Strike 1. Lane 0 for 3 tonight. Popped up. Long run for Dye. What a catch, and now he drops it. Had it in his glove and could not hang on. And the count's 0-2 on Lane.
Outfielders slide to make catches like that to prevent an injury, and that's what Jermaine does. He had it in the webbing, but when he hit the ground, the ball pops out.
Had it and lost it. 0-2 on Jason Lane. The first breaking ball from Jenks, 1 out.
No breaking balls to Jeff Bagwell to end the 8th inning. Right here, 99 on the first pitch. Keep your eye trained on the speed gun right there. All 100 miles an hour.
First pitch is strike to Ausmus. Uribe. 2 out. The Astros are in the World Series for the first time in franchise history. The White Sox are in it for the first time in 16,816 days. Back in 1959, they won Game 1 11-0. And then scored a total of 12 runs the next 5 games against the LA Dodgers, losing Game 6 9-3. They're 2 strikes away from a win here in 2005 in Game 1, with Jenks on the mound and Everett at the plate. Game 1 to the White Sox.
The White Sox closer, Jenks, was anything but tonight.
Turning 25 during the end of the year. Pitching like a postseason veteran. Coming out, striking out 3 of the 4 hitters he faced. Contreras gets the win. The White Sox take Game 1 5-3.